Nick Chubb to the Texans. Nick Chubb to the Texans. J.K. Dobbins to the Broncos. Is DJ Moore a petulant child? And Quinshon Judkins is a bell cow. These stories and more today on Player Profiler Now. News Primetime. You know what I'm saying. My guy Chev is on the way. Let's get this thing started. Hello, everybody, all of our intrepid viewers, and Jamie Pirog. Oh, it is Jamie in the chat. What's up, dude? Well, we're gonna play Player Profiler News Primetime. I had an intro in my brain. I was supposed to say Nick Chubb to the Texans, J.K. Dobbins to the Broncos. Is DJ Moore a petulant child? And Quinshon Judkins is a bell cow. Those stories and more today on Player Profiler News Primetime. But then your little box went boop, and I went, nothing. It's just nothing.
It's like, well.
So that was an intro for the ages. All right. Mandatory mini camps are done. And a lot of... Okay, I talk every year about we have to separate the signal from the noise. And there are certain things that, he's in the best shape of his life. He's, he lost a lot of weight. He's looking great, blah, blah, blah. Those things are noise. But when you start getting into coach speak, we'll talk about some players where the beat writers are out there doing their jobs and they're sussing out what's happening with teams and team dynamics. And so in 3 days, fortunes have changed. The Raiders had media day on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices. And part of the depth chart was solidified in those 3 days. Like, players' lives changed over the course of this week. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Agreed. I mean, this is as close to real football as we're going to get until training camp gets here. And, it's really exciting for me. It's really exciting because of the fact that we're going to get to talk about some guys that we're getting to see in an NFL setting, a pseudo NFL setting, but to hear them, hear them represent themselves well, that to me, we want all positive stuff. And if they're trending in the right direction positively, and we're getting good reports when pseudo football stuff's happening, it just portends to the fact that maybe it'll happen when the pads come on and actual football stuff starts happening.
Right. And part of what we hear coming out of like press conferences and stuff like that from head coaches, we kind of have to like perk our ears up to the negative stuff and kind of shine on the positive stuff, because the positive stuff is basically just like blowing smoke. But the negative stuff, like, they're not out there to like slander their players. So if it's negative, it's bad. It's
right.
Real bad.
It's egregious. Like, you should be concerned if you're hearing negative stuff when pseudo football stuff's happening.
I call that the Treylon Burks paradox. All right, Jamie says, what's this diabolical thing I heard about Genty returning kicks? Their primary kick returners this year are going to probably be Tommy Malott and Dylan Naube, but we shall see. There's no reason to do that. That's just
none whatsoever.
Adding, another 30 or 40 touches to somebody's workload who's already going to get 300. I don't know where you heard that, Jamie, but I don't like it. No, sir.
It needs to stop with you, Jamie.
Yeah, be the change that you want to see, Jamie. All right, so let's get into some of these storylines. First of all, I want to hear your take on Nick Chubb, the usurper, trying to like take over the throne in Houston away from Joe Mixon, House Mixon. What are your thoughts on Chubb?
I think this is just the Texans making sure that they don't have to go into a game counting on Cam Akers and Dare Gumbawale. Like I don't think I don't think that I think maybe Mixon's workload gets lightened. I think he had 245 carries last year. Maybe that gets lightened and Nick Chubb's handling 120 carries and he can show that he can be efficient on that so he could go somewhere else next year and get a 1-year prove it deal as like an old man deal. But I don't think it doesn't give me any more pause or anything like that for Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
Basically, him and Nick Chubb are on 1-year deals. So I would take more stabs at Nick Chubb late in best ball drafts now, but Joe Mixon's still probably going to be fine.
So you don't think that Nick Chubb is on the Dalvin Cook train?
Dalvin Cook with the Jets, yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I see that getting a little bit of run, but not necessarily anything that's valuable. We got the Harry Snowman in the house. What's up, gentlemen? What up, Jamie? And Mike Dixon reported Genty was returning kicks. Who's Mike Dixon? There are 17 games. Chubb and Mixon will keep each other healthy. It's a good mix. I tend to agree. Chubb is probably mostly spent. Mixon is the prize they need come playoff time. Yes, that's
Mike Dixon's got a crazy cider that he sells.
No, so the town next to mine is called Dixon, Dixon, and I want to start a cider company there. I also heard Deontay Johnson is looking great, so we know that's a lie.
Hey, listen, it's not that Deontay Johnson stopped being good at football. It's just that he stopped being so good that whatever his personality flaws are that have gotten him kicked off of 3 teams now,
Exactly.
he stopped being good enough for them to overlook that. So we've hit a bit of a snag in the road here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next one. We talked a little bit about this last night and the impact that J.K. Dobbins will have on R.J. Harvey. Now, I want to throw that out there and also add what came out today. Sean Payton saying Harvey's looked nice, but he hasn't earned his Joker wings yet, unquote. And J.K. Dobbins with I think it was $4 million contract, $4 or $5 million contract. So they definitely have plans for him. Your thoughts on Dobbins to Denver?
Well. So this is beautiful because it was never going to be RJ Harvey handling 75% of the backfield touches. That was never my expectation. So I'm not affected by this at all. I was actually taking shots on Audric Estime late because of the fact that someone's going to carry the, more than 30% of the workload carry wise for the Denver Broncos because it was never going to be just all RJ Harvey all the time. What makes RJ Harvey such an interesting guy is the fact that he's going to have a pass catching role. Denver running backs last year with Javonte Williams at the helm caught 81 passes. And so that's where we're assuming our bread mostly gets buttered with a Sean Payton back, with a guy that's as explosive as RJ Harvey. Now, there was a role to be had in Denver's offense, in an old school Sean Payton offense, where Mark Ingram, those early down bangers had success. And I think that's what J.K. Dobbins lends himself to. That's the role that he's going to fit in. It's like that Mark Ingram guy that has a skill set that's beyond just being like an early down banger. So this would be like a Pro Bowl level signing for a guy like Jamal Williams, pretty much. Like that's the way that I view it. Like David Montgomery is the Walter Payton of that archetype, but J.K. Dobbins is, a tamped down version of David Montgomery. So he's a really good player that has a role that's going to be valuable for fantasy. And it doesn't do anything for my outlook on RJ Harvey because RJ Harvey, he's still going to finish with around 1,200 yards from scrimmage. If I had to guess, he's probably going to still catch about 50 or 60 passes. Like that's where I'm thinking that RJ Harvey returns value, not being a bell cow. and ending up with 350 touches his rookie year. Sorry if that was a long answer, but
no.
That's my full spiel.
But I thought you were done, and I went, ball knower. And Deontay Johnson has had alligator arms for years. It started out he could not hold the ball, then he couldn't reach for it. Yeah, but those routes, crisp. All right.
Crispy.
I had plans for Audric Estime, and I wasn't dropping him until J.K. Dobbins came along, and as soon as Sleeper filled in the little part next to J.K. Dobbins' name that had a team that was missing, I was like, okay, bloop.
I wouldn't drop Estime though, man. I wouldn't drop him. Just hear me out. Just hear me out.
I don't have room for him.
Taxi squad? A question mark?
No, he already came off the taxi squad when he was supposed to start last year. He had a spike game, and they were talking about him taking over the backfield, and I was like, okay, here we go. And then he did not.
It's time. I get it. I get it. I don't love it. I don't love it for you, but I get it.
I don't love it either, but I'll be fine, because the next story is the Cleveland Browns coming out and saying that Quinshon Judkins is the bell cow, and that's who I replaced Audric Estime his spot with. Brought in Quinshon, and that's when I did the droppity do. So wheels up for QJ.
Sorry, I ascended to the astral plane just then. This is everything that I could have asked for. I mean, Quinshon, he's been one of my favorite backs throughout the process. I have a few favorites. If you've listened to anything that we've done together, bigz and I, for quite some time, talked about Quinshon. I've talked about, a few other guys, but hearing this about Quinshon, then seeing how good he looks, toting the tater in a Browns uniform, I can't help but to feel really aggressive about what he could represent because of the uncertainty of the offense and where he's going in best ball, where he's going on fast draft. Like, I can't get enough of Quinshon Judkins. I wish I had more, because if they're going to just hand him the keys, like, we could return value very, very quickly in redraft and dynasty, and have him be one of the top rookie running back point scorers, even though we don't really think Cleveland's going to be a great offense. So this made my day. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I saw it, and then I was like, I'm not going to talk about it because, people get sick of hearing me talk about Quinshon Judkins, but I'm glad that you brought it up, because now I get a chance to talk about, shameless plug, my guy, Quinshon Judkins.
Well, I brought it up because if you want to read more about these players, these stories, and more, go to playerprofiler.com/news. And it's an aggregated list of, as the news desk pumps out stories, that's what you're going to see. So we've got we'll have the Quinshon Judkins story. We have the next topic, which is Keon Coleman's bone chip in his wrist, and then the last two that I'm not going to spoil. Yeah, go ahead.
Player Profiler what news?
.com news. Sorry, it's British. /.
Okay. If you're stroking it to get to the news, then hey, by all means,
I'm always
keep it going.
keep it going. Keon Coleman played last year with a bone chip in his wrist. I don't think it affected him at all.
So the problem is, like, if it did or didn't affect him, like, what role can we project you for?
Well, right, they need to get him out of the X and start designing plays for him, because and kind of like coming out with the the premise that, oh, well, he would have had a better rookie season if it hadn't been for the bone chip in his wrist. I'm not saying that's what they said. I'm just saying that's kind of what it implies, what people are trying. Oh, Keon Coleman, big breakout. You know that he played hurt last year, so everything is going to be better this year. He's got to step it up, because if it turns out that he's just as bad with the bone chip as without the bone chip, then that's going to be we'll have a lot of clarity by the end of 2025.
I'm going to say something, and it's going to make everybody really upset. Statistically, Keon Coleman and JSN's rookie years are very similar. And Keon Coleman played less games. Do with that information whatever you want.
Fewer games. Sorry. Fewer games. All right. And then the next story, DJ Moore and bad body language. Yeah, dude, I get that they brought in somebody who's
water is wet,
kind of like a carbon copy of you, but get it together. Be the alpha that you think
his
you
body
are.
language. His body language sucks at practice when fake football's happening.
Yeah.
Is that what we're reading? Is that what
we're reading?
Is? That's upsetting. That's upsetting.
The Chicago Sun-Times released an article citing new head coach Ben Johnson admonishing Moore for poor body language in public.
Yeah. We should all be not surprised when they trade him or cut him or pay him hush money to go away.
They can't for 2 years.
Yeah, no, they can. They can.
Well, if they want to pay $27 million, his cap hit is agreed.
I mean, we've seen people do it with quarterbacks. It's just not. It hasn't happened with a receiver. But if you're trying to come in and establish a culture, and you've got a guy in Roma Dunze, and you've got Colston Loveland, and you've got a $50 million tight end, and you've got Luther Burden, who he's also been frustrated with because Luther Burden hasn't been healthy, then yeah, you might go from a football perspective and be like, look, man, I know what we owe him, but this just isn't working. And if you want results, and I feel like we're here, like we could be something real nice if we just had the chemistry going. You know whose chemistry doesn't mesh with what we got going on? DJ Moore. Get rid of him.
Yeah, 27 million is a tall order. All right, next one was
it's a half empty glass of gasoline to drink, but I mean, you get thirsty enough, that body language gets bad enough, they'll drink it, I promise you.
I'm gonna try and make this a clip. Antonio Brown, attempted murder?
This story and more tonight at 9 on WFFFFFX.
It was reported yesterday that Antonio Brown is wanted for attempted murder in a shooting months ago. So, you know, that's not
that
really...
video where he fought like 5 dudes at one time. Apparently, the video comes out and it's like him fighting off like 5 dudes. But I don't know what the full story is coming out now that he apparently like took some dude's gun. I don't know if that's the full story, but to say he took some dude's gun and did a bunch of stuff, and then he got jumped on, then they tried to steal his. I don't know what the truth is. Get well soon, Antonio Brown, if you know, unless you actually tried to murder somebody, and then go climb Richard Mountain with your mouth.
I think I know who I'm taking Antonio Brown or the 100 Men. So Chev and I were in a group discussion about the 100 Men versus a gorilla. When that was like kind of,
it's still a thing. It's always going to be a thing. That's now ingrained in the fabric of the internet for forever. You understand that, right?
And one of the things that I brought up, I love watching action movies when there's like one dude who's like the main killer, and there's like a group of 10 henchmen that are trying to kill him, and he kills like the first 4, and then number 5, like, he's gonna get his chin in there. And I'm like, bro, as soon as I watch another guy kill 3 human beings first, I don't care if I'm number 4, 5, 6 to 10, I'm out. Like
Yeah.
you just dispatched three adult males.
Like
I'm gone.
why are you that committed to your job?
Right.
Like, why?
We got
Seriously.
sorry. Yeah, you're not gonna impress anybody.
Yeah, like they got body cams on you. Like, man, you really should have got in there. I know he just killed 3 dudes with his bare hands, but you know, you had a box cutter. You could have at least tried to stab him. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, no.
So if I'm one of the 100 against the gorilla, as soon as I see an arm removed from its body, I'm out. I'm just not even gonna like.
I'm done.
You were supposed to dive for the leg. You were part of the 20 people who were supposed to dive for the left. He just ripped a dude's arm off of his body.
Like Curtis is over there. Curtis is over there, and he's over there. I don't want to be here anymore.
Curtis is over there and over there. Let's pack it in. We got Coach in the chat. Elijah Moore season. I'll hang up and listen. Yeah, he looks just as good as he's looked every other OTA camp he's done.
I told you we should take all of the filthy routes that Elijah Moore has run and not gotten the ball, and then just lace it up with like his 12 catches in all 6 different uniforms he's played in now, and it would be a sick highlight film, like all like 42 seconds of it.
Well, I think we should probably name it the Elijah Moore, the first annual Elijah Moore tribute award
in
or something like that.
In memoriam of Elijah Moore's fantasy relevance.
And so my 2024 nominee is Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys like drafting? Do you want to draft faster? Draft faster with Fast Draft. Go to fastdraft.app. It has some of the best ball games on the planet at the moment. 20-second clock if you're in the draft room. You can put together batches to draft a whole bunch of teams at once if you'd like to do that. You deposit $50 for a first-time deposit, and you'll use code BOOTH, BOOTH, or Coach Chev 90, doesn't matter. And you'll get a $50 deposit match. You can start drafting today. Fun games, and then there's DFS in season. So those are some more fun games to play. We're going to get to our top story, which is the risers and fallers from mandatory minicamp. And we're going to see that on the other side. Let's go.
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code UNDERWORLD to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go get it!
I'm the fastest fast drafter in the world!
No, I was the fastest fast drafter at my grandma's house yesterday.
Good job, Jamie. All right, Chev.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Jamie, are you in a fast draft right now? Because I'll join one while we're talking and stuff. Go ahead, bigz.
You can walk and chew gum and pat your belly and rub your belly and pat your head.
No, that'll
while
make
you're
me
walking
shit
and
my
chewing
pants if I do it all at the same time. So I have to leave one off.
This is how you know you can be a drummer.
I can't.
All right. Risers and fallers. Let's talk about the fallers first. Let's get the big L's out there.
Flex full,
who is your quarterback faller? According
faller?
to OTAs or the mandatory minicamps.
I mean, it's got to be. I mean, if we're going low hanging fruit, we'll go Anthony Richardson.
Okay, that we'll take it.
Loser.
Mine is going to be Jackson Dart. And that one's kind of hidden because not a lot of people had faith that he was going to come out of the gate, but Russell Wilson, like it looks like the Giants are serious about him, and I don't like that. Jamie's looking
Yeah,
for
it's always
6 more
gonna
and a
look.
flex 4.
Yeah, it's always gonna look. It's always gonna look that way when there's no pads on and you don't have pressure to throw it to the middle of the field. Like Russ throwing it outside the numbers is going to look awesome. When the bullets start, for lack of a better term, when there's live ammunition and you're actually competing, that's when it's going to get difficult for Russ because he doesn't throw the ball over the middle of the field.
Well,
Sorry,
then
my
he
wife
can be a
keeps on listening.
faller after training camp.
Yeah. So once training camp starts, I want to see a lot more Jackson Dart.
All right, so we got Anthony Richardson and Jackson Dart. All right, and I think it would be cheating if we like did the requisite risers. So like we're not going to go with Daniel Jones, and we're not going to go with Russell Wilson. That's just to do the opposite of, well, if this guy is a faller, then his counterpart is that's nobody's here for that. So running back position, who is your faller at the running back position?
Oh, probably Omarion Hampton.
Oh my God, I was going to say that too.
Yeah. I mean, it just might not happen the way that we want it to happen for Omarion Hampton. You got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be really good. I'm pretty sure that he's going to have a very long, very successful, very relevant for fantasy career. I just don't think that it's going to pay off on its returns 2025.
Okay, that's
Najee's not going to be nothing, and I hate saying that because I would love for us to come out to like 300 touches for Omarion Hampton.
All right, mine's going to be RJ Harvey. I do think that for this season, the J.K. Dobbins thing is going to be a little bit more than what we were expecting. Let's put it this way: if Sean Payton and the Broncos coaching staff thought that what they had in RJ Harvey was the runaway guy that they're going to give 250 plus carries to, I don't think they would have brought in Dobbins. But that's just my humble opinion.
Okay, so I mean, maybe it's not 250 carries. Maybe it's 200 carries and 50 receptions. Like, as long as he's around that 250 touch mark, I'm okay.
Sure, but and especially like what makes it hard, what makes this so hard is the running back class and the fact that RJ Harvey and Omarion Hampton are their top 7 picks in rookie drafts. And if you are bad enough that you have a first rounder, or you just didn't have enough to get over the hump into the playoffs, or you were a contender and you traded away an asset for a first rounder, hoping that you were going to come up with some, like, first round, you need somebody who's going to give you immediate impact. And it from the top 10 in rookie drafts, it looks like 3 or 4 of the players that we were expecting to provide immediate impact are not going to be that.
That's fair, but I still think that we need to exercise patience. Like, just because it's not an out of the park hit, it's still a hit.
Sure. And I have more. So again, this let's be clear. It's June 13th.
Chicks math.
It's June 13th.
Unless it's the Bermuda Triangle, and then we don't know what time it is.
We haven't had the players' summer vacations yet. We haven't started training camp yet. We haven't dealt with many injuries yet. We haven't gotten to 53-man roster season yet. We're not even ready to do our season previews on teams, right? So it is what it is. It's just within this week, my perception of what is happening in the Broncos running back room has been changed by J.K. Dobbins being a free agent signing. Now, that's not to say that on 53-man roster day or at the end of the preseason, after watching RJ Harvey in preseason games, it's not to say that that's not going to change, but at this point, it makes me a little bit more skeptical.
There we go. Proud of you. Way to fight. Way to fight.
Dobbins doesn't just eliminate McLaughlin and Estime. No. If anything, McLaughlin is torched. Because they're trying. He's basically a tiny. I want to say he was a UDFA. He's small. He's very small. Pass catcher. Not a whole lot more than that. And so I think for their purposes, they can still use Estime as a bowling ball at the goal line. I feel like RJ Harvey is going to be able to be working in pass protection and in the receiving game enough that it kind of cancels out McLaughlin. But I think that you keep a guy like Estime around because he's going to be a little bit more durable.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. So wide receivers. Give me a wide receiver that you think is a loser, a faller so far out of camp.
Luther Burden.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just hadn't been on the field. Like that's, Luther Burden, Ricky Pearsall, any of those young guys that aren't practicing because they have soft tissue injuries right now are going to be losers. And that to me, I would like for them to be out there, like question mark, so we can kind of figure out what's going on. So yeah, Luther Burden and Ricky Pearsall for right now.
Okay. That's fair. And Paul Vo took my guy. No one's really talking good about Jack Besh. So there's a clarity difference here when we're talking about Jack Besh. There is his second round draft capital. That's the first thing. There is where he is fitting in the dynasty community right now. And then there is what reality is as far as the Raiders team dynamic. And I like Besh, loved him at the Senior Bowl. I hated his draft position. I like that he got high capital. I just didn't necessarily want it to be with the Raiders because there were other guys that were available that I preferred. And
who? Tell us who. Tell us who.
Don't trade back for Besh and keep your pick and take Trey Harris.
Let it out. And then he goes to the Chargers.
And then he went to the Chargers. My two favorite receivers in 23 and 24 or 24, 25 drafts, Ladd McConkey and Trey Harris, both Chargers.
Still funny how all of this Trey Harris came about, Biggs.
Yeah, because of you. And I appreciate you. So, and tit for tat, baby. My next guy in the risers, that's somebody that I handed you on a platter. So Jack Besh, like I didn't have any designs on him being a good rookie. I thought that he was going to be, take a few years, take a couple years. As soon as the Raiders drafted him, that cemented in my mind because he does what Jacoby Myers does. You want a big body guy who's going to be able to block downfield and play a big slot role and be a valuable team guy. And also have some dynamics in route running and, in setting up middle routes, things like that. That's Jacoby Myers. So it's going to take Jacoby Myers leaving Las Vegas for Jack Besh to get worked in. And that's Jamie wants to know if you're in the flex 4.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Jamie, he's in. All right. Tight end. Who is your faller at tight end?
I didn't really have. It's tough to talk about fallers at tight end. I didn't really have one like off the top of my head. Like I just, I've got a riser for sure.
Okay, my faller at tight end is Tyler Conklin.
That's not fair because I told you who my riser was.
Yeah, but no, but we're different.
I'm
I'm
kidding.
saying, right?
I'll make one
so-
up right now. It's Dalton Schultz because never Dalton Schultz, not even if there's a fire.
Sorry about it, Dalton. That's rough. that's a cold stray. All right, who's your quarterback riser?
Oh, it's only my namesake, Chev Sanders.
Chev Dewar.
Shedeur Sanders, rookie quarterback.
Okay, because walk me through this, because I have only taken away that he has solidly been the QB4, even though I've got like some YouTube people who every time there's a practice session, they're like, look at the dots and things like that. I have not come away with the impression after mandatory minicamps that Shedeur has done anything to put himself in front of Dylan Gabriel or Joe Flacco.
No, and he's not going to right now, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I actually don't want him to win the job right now. What I wanted was for him to come in and work and represent himself well whenever he got an opportunity to do so. Because that's just how this is probably going to play out. Like if he came in and it was all flash and no substance, and we're just seeing like, oh well, he's just got to, like, everything that I've read is like, all right, cool, he's representing himself well. And every single time we're on the field, even though he's the fourth quarterback, it's positive. It's not mistakes. So I think that the part of fake football right now that we could hang our hat on for a rookie quarterback, he's representing himself really well. So
okay, that's fair. I'm gonna go with Drake May. This is partly a product of the fact that I have been honed in on Patriots practice for a couple of specific reasons. Number one is the draft capital that I've invested so far this season in Kyle Williams. Number two is I have to track my boy Lan. And so I'm dialed into what is going on with the Patriots, and everything that I see from Drake May, I really like. He's getting comfortable with his receivers. It's not likely he's going to have to deal with Jalen Polk, who might start off on the PUP list. He could progress Javon Baker. I'm hearing great things about Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas. And so I think Drake May is going to have a huge year. I think he's going to cash in on the idea of a Josh Allen light. He's going to be able to use his legs. He's going to, like in fantasy, he's going to be that cheat code that you want with added rushing yards, and his receiving core is coming together. Now, all he needs, and Hunter Henry's been getting good reports too. All Drake May needs is for Stephon Diggs to not fall off a cliff physically, mentally, NFL-wise, publicly, whatever. Just like, Stephon, zip it and go to work. That's it. That's all you need to do. No more videos, no more talking, just work, please. Anyway, all right. Who is your riser at the running back position?
Oh, who did I give you? I think I said Brashard Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. Brashard Smith and Miles Sanders. So Brashard Smith, I mean, I don't know. He just lines up outside, runs a route against the corner and wins. And, he's just displaying like all the stuff that makes him a perfect fit for the Jerick McKinnon role in the Kansas City offense. Like he just keeps showing you. He's just like, hey, this is what I'm good at. So don't say that, like, when it pops up and it's week 5 or week 6 and he's coming off a game where he had like 8 touches and went for 100 yards and a touchdown, they're like, oh, you should pick this guy up off your waivers. It's like, if you're in a league with me, it's going to be way too late, bud. So
no big whoop. Just out here being Jerick McKinnon.
Just out here being in one of the most efficient offenses of the last quarter century. No big deal.
Whatevs. All right, mine is a combination, and I'm going to go with a bunch of veteran running backs: Jonathan
Mm,
Taylor, Derrick
mm,
Henry, Saquon
mm,
Barkley,
mm.
Bijan Robinson, Brees
Oh,
Hall,
oh,
Aaron Jones.
wow.
I'll keep throwing them out there, and here's the reason: um, because we haven't heard anything from them. We haven't heard about running backs in their room who are ascending. We haven't heard rumors of them being overtaken at their position. We're not hearing any of that stuff. They haven't been hurt. So all of those they can share. They can share.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you say Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
I just said it.
Thank you.
All right. At the wide receiver position, give me a riser.
I left you yours, if we're being, totally honest. I didn't want to I thought about it.
And I immediately noticed and sent you my appreciation.
So I'll go with Jameson Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with Jameson Williams. I mean, the drum beat. Okay, so here's my thing. And people are hopping on the Jameson Williams train almost like he's a player with a rare skill set in an elite offense or something. Like, we don't duh. Nobody likes those guys run like low 4.3s, 4.2s, or whatever.
Recruited by Brian Hartline, ran through the Ohio State system.
I mean, his first touch ever was a 40-yard touchdown, and he was third in the league in 50-yard touchdowns or 50-yard catches. No, he tied for the lead in 50-yard catches and was third in 40-yard catches last year. And that was on 90 targets. And so now we're talking about John Morton coming in and alluding to an even bigger role for Jameson Williams.
Oh, yes.
That bigger role doesn't have to be the volume of Amon-Ra St. Brown, because they're two diametrically opposed forces in how they get it done. Amon-Ra overwhelms you with short area volume. Jameson Williams is going to win you weeks because he catches 6 balls for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, because that's the type of talent that he has. Think about early Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. Like, just crazy gadget plays that end up with him in space with no one within 15 yards of him because he's the fastest guy on the field. That's what Jameson Williams is. And we're getting him in a place where they're willing to give him more volume. So he could go from 90 targets to 115 to 120 targets, and that could take his fantasy points per game, which was his expected fantasy points per game were around 11, up to 14, 15, which then his actual fantasy points scored could be around 17 or 18 points a game, which puts him in the T. Higgins wide receiver 2, 3, 4 on a points per game basis, just by giving him moderate volume for a wide receiver.
In my veins. I want to go back and find a clip from Dynasty Stock Market where I was talking with Alex and I made Jameson Williams my 2025 flag plan.
It's wild.
Yeah, and this was like in January or something, and that's I'm here for it. I love to hear you say that. I think what I said was my sleeper pick for somebody who's going to enter the top 15 who's never been there before is Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I just did an episode on wide dynasty wide receiver rankings. And I think I'm more bullish on him than I am Jordan Addison, but I think both of those guys are in line for a huge step forward. I just would pack all the bags that I could fit on Jameson Williams just because I have more certainty at the quarterback position and the offensive line's better.
Right. All right. My wide receiver riser is Dante Thornton of the Las Vegas Raiders. And this has been progressive. So as soon as the rookie minicamp started, Dante Thornton started to show route running prowess. He's not just a straight line guy. He's not just going to run nines and curl routes although that's all Tennessee asked him to do. But I was noticing from the film that was coming out that he's doing in breakers, he's doing outbreakers, he's doing slants. He is all over the field, and he's 6'4" plus,
6'5",
and he's 6'5" and runs a 4.3. Trey Tucker was our speed demon. He runs a 4.37. Dante Thornton is faster and has longer stride. So Trey Tucker said, well, he needs to remember that I got shorter feet, so I'm actually faster than him. Because he takes more steps.
No, I mean, yeah.
All right. So then rookie camp was over and OTAs started. And I started noticing when they would have 4 quarterbacks drop back and they would have a whole bunch of wide receivers run out into formation, the balls that were going to Thornton were coming out of number 7's hand. That's Geno Smith. And I was like, oh no, we've got a riser. And then mandatory mini camps happened.
Come on.
And it was reported yesterday that the starting wide receivers that the Raiders are looking at right now are Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker on the outside and Jacoby Myers and working the middle. Brock Bowers is a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver. Don't call him a tight end. He's a wide receiver. So that's 4 receivers. But Dante Thornton is a 1 at this point. We're in June. He's a 1. You can't take his.
Are you going to say the thing? Are you going to say the thing? Or you want me to say the thing?
Littletron?
No. Do you want me to say the thing? Or are you going to say the thing?
You say it.
Who did we talk about that he could be this year's version?
So 20 pounds away. Give him 2 years with NFL weightlifting and nutrition. And he is the profile of Calvin Johnson.
I wasn't going to go that far.
Oh,
you did that yesterday too. I was going to say that he could be this year's Brian Thomas.
Yeah. We talked last night and both agreed if we're looking for somebody to mimic what Brian Thomas Jr. did last year with coming out of college with a perceived limited route tree and then that opening up and all of a sudden his role changes in the NFL from what it was in college and he has an outsized fantasy performance, that's Dante Thornton. That was Brian Thomas Jr. last year. Don't miss on Dante Thornton because he didn't run a whole lot of routes at Tennessee, just like you missed last year on Brian Thomas Jr. because he was the running mate to Malik Neighbors and didn't run except for in a straight line a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, had there been no Malik Neighbors, he probably would have run other things.
Sure.
But
when we go back and watch the film of Dante Thornton at Oregon, he was running the full route tree.
So, long story short, the point of this story is, guys, you could fade these guys, but why? Honestly, like why? What are you going to at their price points? Like we're doing a flex 4. We're in there right now. We're going in the 5th round. Like Dante Thornton's not going to be a part of your flex 4 plans at all. You know, you could. No. I mean, I built a heck of a squad if I say so myself. But I mean, that's a different story for a different day. You got to get behind the paywall to get some of that legendary ball knowledge. But anywho, Dante Thornton is a. You right now can just put Dante Thornton in your queue and select him in the last round of your best ball drafts. And that is 1,000% what you should be doing if you're tied to if you're tied to Geno Smith in a custodian quarterback build. That's what you need to be doing is taking a shot on Dante Thornton because that stack I feel like could win people some serious money. Again, hashtag not financial advice.
His floor is Alec Pierce.
Correct.
Which is like a consistent late round best ball dart throw for me because of what that guy can do in the space of 60 minutes, which he's not going to do every game, but you give him a good 60 minutes and he can come up with 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 140 yards receiving. And Dante Thornton is going to be that guy, especially with Geno Smith throwing him the ball. So
Geno Smith being one of one of, if not the best deep ball thrower in the entire NFL.
Correct. And across platforms, across different fantasy dynamics, I'm getting Dante Thornton with my final pick in underdog drafts. He's going in the last round of fast drafts. He's going undrafted in rookie drafts, so he's a priority waiver wire ad, and he's a very, very late round in startup. So in redraft, he might have enough steam when you start playing your ESPN and Yahoo redraft leagues in August. He might have enough steam by then to actually be draftable.
Oh, he's
now
still gonna go undrafted in rookie draft. I'm not rookie drafts, in redraft when the time comes.
Well, no, because a lot of people save their redraft season till they like drafting after a couple of preseason games have been played, or even like between the end of the preseason and the beginning of the regular season.
Yeah.
And so they're the guys who wait, the casuals that wait until then. Dante Thornton may have had some preseason games where he absolutely arrives on the scene.
But think about it though. Like, y'all didn't do that with Bowers. It is a new regime, but you guys kept Bowers under wraps pretty good outside of like a little tight end flat, like him lining up at fullback and like a little tight end flat route. And I was like, just look like Brock Bowers when you catch this, and he did. And I was like, okay, I'm still.
Yeah, they were also dealing with the whole Gardner Minshew thing, and
that's fair. That's a fair point. You didn't have an adult at quarterback. It's fine.
No, and there was a play in the preseason game against Minnesota where it was just like if they had allowed Bowers to run a little bit different of a route and Minshew had gotten the ball to him on time, he would have been able to cut up field for a touchdown, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And then in that same game, O'Connell got run down and shoelaced and took a sack, and yeah, that was Bowers looked great that game, and he was like, there was a play where he was just short of a touchdown. There it is. What was your fast draft time? Say it.
Oh, 579.
Okay.
Nothing special.
We're starting Slowpoke McGee. I don't know what that means. All right, so acquire Dante Thornton everywhere. Who's your tight end riser?
Can we do a joint one? Because I know we're both. Would you like to join me?
Oh, yeah. You guys can't see it because it's off camera, but we're holding hands.
What'd you say, buddy?
I said nobody can see it because it's off camera, but we're holding hands right now.
Yes. This hand is for solidarity. Important that I do this, I feel like, because it's like, well, what could you be doing with that? Anyway, so our tight end riser is none other than a Rondé Gaston II.
Nope. Yes, we are in lockstep with this, but there is another.
Go ahead. Yeah. So I'll go ahead with Rondé Gaston, and me being bordering on insufferable about how good I think he's going to be. You had Jim Harbaugh rant about his skill set after a practice one day. And if you've been almost a truther, like a heretic about Rondé Gaston, like I have for the last few months, you listen to the draft call, and he talked about what role he envisioned for Rondé Gaston. And then in the press conference, he talks about Rondé Gaston doing all of the things that they talked about him doing in the draft call.
Mm-hmm.
If you like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey man, this might be something that you want to pay attention to. And I was a guy that, like George Kittle, I drafted a bunch of them his rookie year in a keeper league, a couple keeper leagues I was in, and it didn't hit. And then the next year he breaks out. This could be a very similar thing. So from a dynasty perspective, he's now my most owned dynasty player, him and Brashard Smith, which means one of them is destined to fail. But I think that, Rondé Gaston is, I think the world, like, he has the world as an oyster. Like Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator, play caller, kingmaker at tight end. You have his coach raving about his skill set that he envisioned for him. Like, all these signs are here, and we could keep ignoring it, but I'm not going to. I haven't been, and I'm going to get louder about this.
So it brings to mind two things for me. Number one, any of you out there who are not already playing in a Devy League, a college fantasy football league, or a campus to Canton league, go start doing that. Because if you want a true edge, if you want to start catching guys when they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, like really catching them, I'm not talking about Jeremiah Smith. Everybody knows Jeremiah Smith. I'm talking about, I was on Oronde Gadsden II a few years ago because what I watched him do as a breakout freshman. Okay. On top of the bloodlines, all that stuff. I've been waiting for him. He has ascended on my campus to Canton teams because I was holding on to him already. And it reminds me of, we're going to go in the Wayback Machine. Let's go way back. So I'm visiting my uncle who lives in rural Crowley, Louisiana, and he's got a camp, fish camp. There's a pond, little house, whatever. That's where we're staying. And the newspaper comes, and I look at the newspaper, and it announces LSU signing a recruit out of Texas to play center. His name was Shaquille O'Neal, and I remember struggling with trying to read that. And was it Shaquille? Was it Shaquille? Was it Shaq? How do I do this? I know the O'Neal part. And then reading about how he was an Army brat, his dad was a very strict disciplinarian, and Shaq just happened to be disciplined and huge. And being a fan of LSU, I then watched him go into the NCAA tournament as a freshman and set a tournament record for blocks in a game against BYU. And I went and I told every single person that I know, you got to watch for Shaquille O'Neal. And I had plans for Shaquille O'Neal, Stanley Roberts, and Chris Johnson, nay Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, to win a national championship. And then Shaq bounced, went to the NBA. Don't blame him, but hey, stay as a senior, win a natty, right? But I told everybody about Shaquille O'Neal. And then when he was drafted by the Orlando Magic, just about everybody that I told, I was like, oh my God, did you hear about Shaq? And they're like, who? I've been pounding the desk for this guy for the last 3 years, and you guys don't know who I'm talking about, right? That's where I am with Oronde Gadsden. I've been like trying to tell people this dude is legit NFL tight end prospect. And then we go through the rookie process for 2025, and he goes from like my dude to just slipping down to like what, tight end 5 or 6 in everybody's estimation. He hasn't changed. He's still the same guy. And I love it.
Yeah, bigz. I mean, what we have to do. I mean, I know we do have a few shows where we talk fantasy stuff, but what we got to do is just start shutting up and just taking the profits. If I tell you, I do this with my friends sometimes. Like, if I tell you about something cool, and then I'm like, hey man, you should really do this because it's really cool, and they don't do it, I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna enjoy this by myself and hoard all of this over here for me because I did what I was supposed to do. I told you about it, and you didn't either ask the right questions or tell me about it, or just engage with it. So I'm just going to take all of the Oronde Gadsden, all of the Brashard Smith, all of the Devin Neal that was like all throughout the mock season. People were taking Devin Neal in the second round, and just nobody was on Oronde Gadsden at all. And I was just like, cool. I hope that it plays out like this because I thought 1000% that somebody was going to reach up and take Oronde Gadsden, but they didn't. But he goes to a perfect landing spot, and now we can just get all the Oronde Gadsden that we want.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Another story just came to mind from what you were saying. Pre-pandemic, I had this buddy. He had a little online business. We'll say it's Etsy. Anyway, he made a lot of money, and people would pay him in Bitcoin. And then he'd take his cash, and he would ask me to drive him to Sacramento, and then he'd go to this gas station, and he'd take his cash in and trade it for Bitcoin. And he offered me hey, you want to take some money and put in Bitcoin? I didn't have any money. It wasn't that I wasn't following him into it. It was just that I couldn't. And he hasn't worked in 5 or 6 years.
Oh my God.
All
Yeah,
right.
that hurts.
My tight end riser is Mason Taylor. So now this is the third platform that I am making this flag plant. So I don't know if I've done it on Twitter yet, but I know I've done it on the Undroppables and Fantasy Sports Advice Network. So I'm doing it right here on Player Profiler. Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, and Breece Hall will all finish in the top 12 at their positions in 2025.
I'm with you on 3 of those.
Mason Taylor is hyper athletic. If you go back to our Dynasty Stock Market show that we did with Andrew Cooper, he absolutely loves Mason Taylor. I do too. And what we talked about were the 2 perfect landing spots for him, and that was Miami and the New York Jets. The New York Jets, having just moved off of Tyler Conklin, they brought in Stone Smart. Stone Smart has been a flicker of hope for a lot of people over the last year or so. He's not it. Mason Taylor is it. He is going to enter a receiving core that is headed by Garrett Wilson, and that's about it. He has an opportunity to be the number 2 target earner in the New York Jets offense. As a rookie tight end, we saw it happen with Brock Bowers last year. And if he is, that's what Andrew Cooper says to look for. Who has the opportunity to be the number 2 target earner, the number 1 or number 2 target earner in their offense? And Mason Taylor is right there. And from mandatory minicamps, the coaching staff loves him. Justin Fields loves him. And there's nothing in his way. So if he gets 120 targets this year, he's absolutely going to be a top 12 tight end. So he's my riser.
I like that. I don't love Mason Taylor, but I do love the opportunity. It fits perfectly with exactly what Andrew Cooper lined up for a tight end to break out. So yeah, I can't argue with that at all, even though I'm not.
Sure. And Jamie says, say top 10 to be bolder. Okay. They're all going to be top 10 at their position, because I think that Justin Fields is absolutely in the top 10. Breece Hall is absolutely in the top 10. Garrett Wilson is in the top 10. All of them are being drafted in the teens, by the way. And Mason Taylor, I'll push it. 120 targets, top 10 tight end as a rookie. All right. We had some chats before I get out of here and go to work. Cade Stover looking good in OTAs. Thanks, Jamal Thompson. I appreciate that intel, because Cade Stover is absolutely slept on. I don't think there's been a radar invented that is picking up Cade Stover.
Cade Stover. Wow. No, thank you.
Will Akers, Neal, or Miller be the RB2 for the Saints? I'm saying Miller.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up being Kendra Miller. If we could just rely on regular football stuff, it's going to be Devin Neal.
Okay. And then you forgot Roschon Johnson. I don't know what that means. In talking about what? Okay. And we have on the clock, make my pick. Pickens, Addison, or Ridley in best ball? Ridley.
Pickens, Addison, Pickens.
I tend to lean towards primary receivers in their offense, and that's not Pickens. Not saying that Pickens can't have a big year, but Pickens and Addison are both wide receiver 2s, and Calvin Ridley is the 1. And if Cam Ward is going to have a successful rookie season, it's only because Calvin Ridley is a baller.
Well, it's just, for me, there's 600 attempts to go around in Dallas, and we've seen the role that Pickens is going to play flourish with Dak Prescott, and that's the best quarterback that he's ever played with. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if we were looking at like 70 for 1,209 or 10. And Ridley could very easily do that too. But it's, there's going to be weeks where he doesn't enter your lineup. Whereas I feel like the weeks that Pickens has might actually like he'll be top 5 at the position that week.
Okay. And Jamie's clarifying, when I was naming off all the great running backs like Barkley and Henry, I forgot the other elite talent, Roschon Johnson.
I would like to make 2 thumbs down with a fart noise, but I'm holding my phone, so I will make 1 thumb down with a fart noise.
All I hope is that we don't have to wait for Roschon as long as we waited for Rashad and Raheem. Please don't make us do that. We don't need to wait 8 years for Roschon Johnson's first like viable fantasy season. And that'll do it for us. I got to go to work. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Maybe we'll do a profile on the Antonio Brown case.
Let's do a Scott Fishbowl draft.
That's what we're doing next week, a Scott Fishbowl mock draft. We'll see you next Friday.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.
All right. Mike just